In this video, we're going to talk about React Router. React Router is something you can use to basically create multiple virtual pages in your app. That's pages with quotes around them, because they're not really separate pages. You're just essentially hiding and showing components. So we'll get to that. First, let's start by looking at the documentation. If you ever want to find out more about React Router, go to React Training/React Router at GitHub, and you will find their repo. And if you scroll down, you can view the docs right there. And then if you're doing web, you go here. I presume if you go native, you go there. And I actually don't know where that button takes you. It says core in the URL, so I guess that's shared stuff. Anyway, I mess with web stuff, so this is where I end up going. And I don't see anything. There it is. Okay. And so you can see some basic examples of how to use it and whatnot right there. So go take a look at that yourself when you're ready. I'm going to show you in this video how to do things. So if you want to install this for the web, what you will need to do is you will need to go npm install React Router DOM, and that last bit is important. -- save. This is so it will make it into your package.json, so that if you have to reclone this repo, your repo from somewhere, and just want to get all the packages reinstalled, you can just do npm install, because the -- save saves that library to the package.json. It will automatically get installed when that happens. This is especially important if you're working with someone else. And so npm install React Router DOM -- save. And now that that is installed, we can restart this guy up. Now let's go do this. So I'm going to go to app.js, and I am going to get rid of a lot of stuff. I don't need the logo. I don't need any of that styling. We should be getting ourselves to a nice plain page there. Alright, so let's do some React Router. Well, if we want to start using it, then we have to import it. So import, and we're going to import a number of things here. I'm going to import the hash router, and I'm then going to rename it as router. This is fairly common. The hash router, we will see, puts the path essentially on the hash without actually changing the normal path in the browser. Anyway, you'll see how this works. Hash router is router. We'll need route, and we will need link from React Router DOM. With these things in place, I'm going to do this. First, I'm going to wrap this whole thing in the router. I'm going to create some routes, and I'm going to create some links to those routes. I'm going to put the links in a nav. So the links use this link component, which we're importing from React Router DOM. So I'm going to say link. This is going to be to, and this will be for the root. So to the home, to, and then this is to a second quote-unquote page. So this sends us places. We need to define routes. Now the way you define routes is with the route component. And so this gets us using all of these. Router here, link here, and route here. Now with the route, what you do is you specify path, and you also specify a component. And so if someone goes to the root path, I want to use the home component, which doesn't exist. We're about to create it. But if somebody goes to the path called second, we're going to use another component, which will be second component. Now, in a recent video, we learned about the pure functional components. Let's go ahead and create some here. One for home component. And one for the second component. Home component, second component, we should be showing home component when we're at slash. We should be showing second component when we're at slash second. So let's take a look at this. All right, I see home and I see second page. So we are currently on the root after the hashtag #, and says this is the home component. So it's now showing this one. I'm going to go to second page, and it's showing both the home component and the second component. Now, in my experience, this is not normally what you want. The reason why it's showing both of them is it is, of course, has second here, but it also has the root just right there. And so that is easy to solve. If you go back here and you just say exact, it will only match this when it is grabbing exactly this path and not this full path. So that solves that. Home page, second page, home page. Now notice how the URL is changing. Specifically this after the hash is changing. All right. So this is essentially what React Router gets you. It allows you to have individual components take over a part of the content of the screen. Now, if we were to fill these out some, this would look a little bit more like maybe what you're used to in terms of a page. So I'm just going to fill in a little bit and just say and let's go get some content. So I'm going to go find some bacon Ipsum. There it is, right there. Let's go for this paragraph. It's looking better already. Now let's go get this paragraph. Go to the second component. Little organization here. Get that out of my clipboard. Second, first, second, first. So we essentially create virtual pages in our application here with React Router. You can, of course, have other components within this component, which contains other components, which contains other components. Essentially, everything becomes normal at this point. And so you can have a completely separate user interface with each different page. So that's the basics. Let's review by creating a third component and adding that to our menu. Okay, so this time I'm just going to create a normal component, a class-based component outside of this file, just to get a little bit of variety. and a little content. Okay, and so let's export this. You can also, by the way, I've been in all these videos doing export default down here. If you want to, you can do this, and that should work. So let's bring this in. Okay, if someone goes to third, we will then give them this component. Third page, second page, home page. And just so we can spread these out a little bit, let's do a little bit of styling. Don't actually need most of this anymore. Most of it's gone. So let's say I want to say all the nav. Let's make the nav background color white, black. It's already white or transparent. So let's make that black, and then let's make all the anchor tags inside, because as you can see, these are anchor tags. Let's make all the anchor tags inside white. There we go. That's pretty ugly. Groovy. Okay, that's a little better. So home, second, third, and so forth. Virtual pages made with React Router. Note how, and this is specifically something that hash history does. If you use the browser history, it does something different. That's a discussion for another time. If you go here to slash, that's home. If you go here to second, that is the second component. Third, you can have as many components as you want. I presume I've never run into an upper limit. I can't imagine there really being one. So you can make as many virtual pages if you want. That's the basic idea behind React Router. And that's a basic example. So everything you need to know is right here, really. You install, import, create a router, and then these things go within the router. We have our links to the different virtual pages, and then each of these routes specify what path goes with what component.